Okay, I think I should turn this off. So let's begin with essay. So talking about broad framework in which we can write an essay. The first is the temporal, that is the past, present, and the future. And then there is the sectoral, that is media, science and technology, business, sports, religion, politics, administration. Okay, so those are the areas in which you need to, you can actually structuralize your essay. Okay, either you can go for walks of life, that is individual, family, professional, workplace, society, community, national, global, or you can work for the problems and the solutions, that is the concept, that is historical evolutions in status, benefit, problem, solutions. Or there is a standard one, that is social, political, economical, administrative, international, environmental, historical, scientific, security, legal. So you can think from the syllabus perspective. Okay. Example for the topic like has globalization delivered to its promise? I find the problem and solution method as apt way to develop your narrative. So choose as per the question. Okay. We can also have a stakeholder approach. Yes. Or we can go for 5 pillar 3S 3C approach. Okay. Especially in the GS answers. Okay, connecting words to show the cause and effect relationship between the sentences. Accordingly, consequently, hence, so, therefore, thus, to show similarity. Also, likewise, similarly, in addition to, okay, to bring out contrast, but however, in spite of, nevertheless, nonetheless, despite, to show a sequence first, second, third, next, finally, to establish a time relationship after, before, currently, during, earlier, immediately, meanwhile, now, recently, simultaneously, subsequently. To add an example, for instance, namely, for example, specifically, to illustrate, to conclude, in conclusion, in summary, to sum up, in final analysis, on the whole things considered, as discussed above, on balance. Okay. Headings, there can be numerous different types of headings. Okay, you can think of them. You can also use any of them depending on the manner in which you want to use it. Okay, say India and Pakistan brother in arms. Okay, promise of peril, artificial intelligence, promise of peril, urbanization, promise of peril. Okay, towards a brighter future, sustainable development, a journey so far. Okay, a double-edged sword, urbanization, a double-edged sword, two sides of the same coin. The problem of unintended consequences. Okay, silver lining in the cloud. Okay, window of opportunity. All that glitter is not gold. Yes, heaven in disguise. Losing the battle but winning the war. Okay, convenience or crisis. Miracle or catastrophe. Say, talk about artificial intelligence. Is it a miracle or a catastrophe? Okay, US help to India. Is it a miracle or a catastrophe? A blessing or a curse? Okay. Genetics. Are we leaping to before we look? Okay. Are we leaping before we look? World peace. Managing conflict and building harmony. Okay. From quit India to clean India. From clean India to green India. स्वच्छता से स्वस्थ तक. Okay. Conundrum of economic growth and human development. The idea of justice. Okay. Climate justice, a way forward. Dysfunctionalism of X. Okay. From policy making to policy implementation. Capitalism of the rich, by the rich, and for the rich. Okay. Climate change, a greatest threat to human rights. Atmanirbhar to Atmavishwas. Okay. Medicines, first line of defense or a last resort. India's vaccination drive is a journey from anxiety to assurance. Okay, point of no returns among others. Okay, also helpful for language people. Yes, in agriculture, beach se bazaar tak, per drop more crop, from land productivity to water productivity, doubling the farmer's income. Okay, leave this anymore. We do not require this. Clean India, Swachhta se Swasth tak, एक कदम स्वच्छता की ओर. Okay, स्वच्छता ही सेवा. If Mahatma Gandhi can do it, you can too. Okay, social issues. What is not new bill? What is required is not new bill. What is required is political will, administrative skill, and change of the mindset, and then go for the kill of the social evil. Okay. Justice Nariman, backward class, backward caste marches hand in hand with other citizens of India on an equal basis. This will not be possible if only the creamy layer within the class, within the caste, bags all the coveted job in the public sector and perpetuate themselves, leaving the rest of the caste as backward as they always were. Justice Nariman, you can quote this in case of caste reservation affirmative actions. Okay. Family is the source of cultural reproduction, yes. It is not the severity of the punishment, but the surety of punishment that acts as a deterrence. Okay. Governance, preach what you practice, policy paralysis, harbinger of change agent, South model of administration, principle of subsidiarity, among others. Okay. Judiciary guardian of fundamental right, heart and soul of the constitution, private interest litigation, miscarriage of justice, internal security, Kashmiriyat, Jumhuriyat, and Insaniyat, breeding ground of terror. Politics, from politics of caste to religion to politics of development, from sociology of reservation to politics of reservation, nexus of criminals, business, and politicians. Women, double exploitation, pink colonization, glass ceiling, maid but not born, unpaid and underpaid. The green revolution, footless workers, depeasantization, okay, feminization of labor, circular migration, India, vision of India, food for every mouth, work for every hand, spark in every eye, and joy in every soul. Very, very good thing. Food for every mouth, work for every mind, spark in every eye, and joy in every soul. Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat. IT is Indian talent plus information technology is equal to India tomorrow. Family is a source of cultural production, urbanization, heaven in disguise, capitalism, new Maharaja of India. Okay. Uh, Honeybee gives birth to 10,000 workers. First mate, fish mates, fixed person. Okay. So if that fellow, okay. So here there are two different types of stories. You can use it. Amartya Sen, in his book The Idea of Justice, talks about human development as a basic human right. In Argumentative Indian, it has talked about the historical evidence of democratic values in the Indian society. Okay. Thomas Piketty, in his book The Capital in 21st Century, highlighted how a lack of investment in human development builds in economic inequality as well as reducing consumption capacity of a lower strata society. Only 12% of the graduates goes for the higher education, and out of that 38% goes for the research program. Okay, Amartya Sen and Jean Dries in their book India and Uncertain Glory talks about capability approach. Okay, Jim Yong Kim, a president of World Bank, says that for every dollar an corrupt official puts in his pocket in developing country, is a dollar taken away that could have been used for the poor's education or health. The publication of population bomb. Okay, the publication of population bomb by Earl Ridge and the limits to the growth by Meadow in 1972 created awareness and concern among environmentalists in particular and people in general. This set of scenarios for emergence of new form of developmental under the broad phrase of sustainable development. Okay. Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth, while Saraswati is the goddess of peace. While former brings prosperity, later brings peace. Two were rarely seen together. Lakshmi is typically drawn towards places where Saraswati resides. That is where the prosperity always follows the peace. However, when Lakshmi comes, the attention shifts from Saraswati to Lakshmi. Okay, and enraged, Saraswati leaves. In her absence, a Lakshmi comes to give her sister a company. to give her sister Lakshmi a company. With Lakshmi comes strife. With strife comes the end of peace, and in the absence of peace, prosperity eventually wins. Lakshmi leaves, and there is nothing left. Okay, so you can use this story in anywhere. About poverty. Okay. In Little Rock High School, Kansas, racial segregation in school. Supreme Court judgment that Brown versus Board of School. In Little Rock, 9 kids were home. 500 army personnel were sent to escort them to the school. President Eisenhower. So freedom is Swaraj. So you can think of this. Okay, multiple stories. You can use them in anywhere. Okay, stories. Sugar and flour, love, sweetness. Okay. Well, sugar is a story. How? What is the sugar? Do you know sugar is a flour, love, sweetness? Yeah. Well, sugar in any of the products increases its flavor. It is resembled with love, sweetness. However, do you know that the sugar has a very large, huge story of exploitation, brutality, slavery attached to it? Okay. In 15th century, slave trade was conducted, and nearly 4 crore people were transported from Africa. This is Africa, from the western coast of Africa. That is, this is Ghana coast, Gold Coast, slave coast, and they were transported to Brazil. So this is Brazil, and for the sugar, especially for the sugar cultivation. Okay. So during this transportation, they were boarded on a ship like a fish. Okay, how fish is boarded on a ship? They are actually jam packed in it. They were thrown in a container, and then they were jam packed. So they had to shed in it. They had to live in it. There was no hygiene in it. Okay, a suffocation. So nearly 4 crore people were actually transported in such a way. And the journey was about 60 hours. The journey from western coast of Africa to Brazil was around 60 days. And in those 60 days, uh, about 50% would die in the transit itself. Okay. So it was like out of 4 crore people transported, only 2 crore were able to reach in the Brazilian coast. The rest of the 2 crore people actually eventually died in the journey itself. Okay, it's a kind of an Amazon delivery. Sugar, tobacco, cotton, luxury. Okay, for some wild cause of doom in African civilization. Yes. So you can think of something as small as sugar, tobacco, cotton, or this were actually luxury for some, while it has caused doom for the African civilization. Okay, it was in late 1838 when it was actually abolished. So you can actually think of slavery. You can use the stories into something where the quote resembles both luxury as well as the poverty. If I have to say, if I had to write about an essay called luxury is artificial poverty while contentment is natural wealth. So yeah, I may have started with this. Okay, story. Talking about climate change, yes, renewable energy is a source. You can say that. Okay, again the same scenario about climate change, right? That climate change is causing a havoc to many people, right? It is a renewable. I beg your pardon. Leave this. This is not very important as of now. Mm, this will also not be very important because if a person cannot relate or if he has to search differently, then it will be very difficult. Okay, Bolsa Familia, it's a Brazil model. Bolsa Familia provides financial aid to poor Brazilian families, and if they have children, families must ensure that the children attend school and are vaccinated. If they exceed the total of permitted school absences, they are dropped from the program and their funds are suspended. The program attempts to both reduce short-term poverty by direct cash transfer and fight long-term poverty by increasing human capital among poor through conditional cash transfer. So Bolsa Familia is a very very good thing. It's like a midday meal. Okay, Limai massacre, gang raped, burned, cut and danced On 16th March 1968 by US Army in Vietnam civilians for the first for fun brought out by investigative journalist Seymour Hersh. Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely. Okay. In the late summer of 2022, flooding devastated Pakistan. Rainfall battered the country for months, culminating with the wettest August ever for the southern province, and by September, one third of the country was under water, including areas of 100 kilometers wide area across Indus. At Sindh, as of this writing, there has been over 700 deaths, 3,500 kilometers red and and 150 bridges are damaged, 15 million people are displaced, and over a million homes are destroyed. For a wealthy state, this challenge would have been colossal, but the Pakistan, the flood are the latest link to the chain of disaster, infra damages, and crop destruction and waterborne diseases would only worsen the existing problem of inflation, financial crisis, and political unrest. And the fundamental military estimated militancy estimated cost of $40 billion. For comparison, CPEC is worth $46 million. IMF bailout package is of $1.1 billion. It is geopolitical catastrophe always moves gradually with suddenly. Okay, so it is a climate-induced geopolitical catastrophe. Okay, so you can think of this. It is a very good story. Okay. You know, a honeybee gives birth to 10,000 workers. Okay, so it is this 10,000 workers that have been working for him. A fish mates with a fixed person itself only in his entire life. Heart attack transplants after 10 minutes of death is not possible. Okay, this would be a good conclusion. For every Indian's life to be a celebration, the benefit of growth and development needs to percolate down to last man and woman, and that is the endeavor of every government. Okay? State sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into oases of freedom and justice. People are the force behind the renewable, revival, and the reforms, and the government should lead from the front and ensure that all politics, policy, and processes ensure that the fruits of prosperity reach the last man and woman, and to bring about equity. The engine of the largest democracy are the people of India. It was best of the time, it was the worst of the time, it was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness, it was the season of light, it was the season of darkness. Okay, if I have not understood anything, I will not write it. Wherever law ends, tyranny begins. Locke. Mark Twain says that if you ask me to give a lecture for 5 minutes, I'll take 5 days to prepare. But if you ask me to lecture for 2 hours, I'll take 30 minutes to prepare. Okay, one action is more powerful than 1,000 words. Yes, it is not merely a severity of the punishment, but the certainty of punishment that acts as a deterrence. Reality does not conform to idealism, but conforms it. So believe this. Rabindranath Tagore has written in Gitanjali, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, and the knowledge is free. Where the mind is led forward forward by the when the mind is led forward by the into ever widening thought and action into the heaven of freedom, my father, let my country awake. Okay. Gandhiji said that our greatness lies in not much in changing the world but changing ourselves. Okay. Swami Vivekananda, the one thing that is root of all the evil in India is the condition of poor. The only service to be done for our lower classes is to give them education, develop their lost individuality. Okay. Modi ji, in Sri Lanka has said that the biggest challenge to sustainable world peace comes from the mindset rooted in hate and violence, and not necessarily in the conflict between nations. Okay. Law determines the direction in which society would move, but it is the culture which determines the direction in which society actually moves. Okay, entry battery. Okay, talking about environment, fight to conserve water to avoid fighting for it. Okay, no water to drink will push civilization to bring. So rethink. Okay, women's the female feticide is discrimination against the female in the very womb. Educate a woman to educate the next generation. Women empowerment is the way forward, way the country should develop. Okay, बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ इंडिया को आगे बढ़ाओ. The way we differentiate our girls from the boys is the way of forcing half population of country backward. Okay, global warming, worst flood in China, Canada over heat wave of 50 degrees. So yes, you can see that the impact of global warming. Don't get busy in chat, burn extra fat. Prevention is the better than cure. Yes, poverty is condition, not a destiny. It can be corrected through education. Okay, poverty, illiteracy, and corruption go side by side. All can be cured through common medicine, that is education. Terrorism, leave this too for the same purpose. So poverty is a condition, not a destiny. It can be corrected through education. Terrorism disrupts tourism. Terrorism destabilizes the nation, ruthlessly destabilize terrorism. Disarm terrorism, fortify development. Illiteracy to illiteracy. Okay, this is a very good one. Chalo Delhi is the mantra of migrants. Okay, so yes, migration is very good, bad thing. So that's it, my friends. That was for essay.